That's right. We're back. Everybody, welcome to Rackspace Live. I hope you are having an amazing Wednesday. I am so glad to be here with you. And we have a great conversation teed up for you. Actually, three panelists who are about to come out and share some info. Hey, guys, but you know the routine. My name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist here at Rackspace. And that routine, guys, introduce yourselves. Love to know who you are. Love to know where you are. So enter it in the comments on whatever platform you're watching. We tend to go out across LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube, but we can tell where you're coming from. But I would love to know who you are and where you are. And I hope you're having an amazing day. And as I mentioned yesterday, guys, standing with Ukraine, we have a global audience here at Rackspace Live and Cloud Talk Live, and we feel for them when they're out there. Brian from Cincy is here. Glad you're here, Brian. And also, just a call out to the tool that we use to go live. It's a company called Restream.io. They don't pay me to say this, but I am excited to say it because they are a Ukrainian-based company. And I'm told that all their workers and family members are safe. So we're thankful for that. And we have Jamie White, who is here, a former racker. Oh, man, you need to come back. Be a boomerang racker. Keith is here from Boston. Jamie's up in Round Rock. That's great. Wow. From Tim is, so I got to get out my geography. I'm pretty good with geography, but I don't know where that is. Arturo from the great state of Texas. Did you know today is Texas Independence Day? It absolutely is. We have Kelly. Kelly, good to see you from Denver, former racker. We have Mexico here. So glad that you all are here. Hey, let's jump into the program. I'm going to start. Hey, welcome from Houston. Let's jump over to. Wrong button. Let's jump over to there. Little news article that I found that I thought was sort of interesting. AWS came out with a new tool to show every user what their carbon footprint is of how much they're using inside of AWS. Now, this is a pretty cool tool. You find it inside of the billing section, and the information is about 3 days delayed, they said, and that's just on how long it takes them to get the bill from their electric providers and to get it all parsed out. So it's about a 3-day delay, but it'll tell you based on how much you're using inside of AWS what your carbon footprint is. Hey, Megan's here. Who knew? From San Antonio. And that's really kind of interesting because all of the cloud providers have started to made different initiatives around driving towards carbon zero in how they're providing their services and having less and less of an impact on the planet. Now, an interesting thing is you may be saying to yourself, they use all that power, all that water. I talked about this in an article about a week ago. Oh, Romania. Wonderful. Glad you're here. You're the first from Romania. You're a little close to the action, from my concern. But there is an interesting article, and it's linked inside of this that talks about. Let me go look at it right over here. I've got it. That I got to scroll. How did I put it all the way at the bottom? While large-scale data centers operated by all the providers do consume a ton of power, IDC actually did some analysis, and it costs less from a carbon footprint perspective to run inside of the hyperscalers or with Amazon or Facebook or Salesforce than it would be for you to run it in your own data center. Why is that? Well, there's a whole lot of reasons. They're efficient. They're much more efficient in how they do things, and from a utilization of their resources, they do a much better job than we necessarily would in our own data centers. So that's kind of interesting stuff. Umesh, I am glad that you are here. Thank you for joining in. All right, let's progress on, shall we? I have a really, I'm excited about today's event because we are going to talk today about some aspects of elastic engineering from Rackspace. And I got these three awesome panelists. I'm going to get out of the way a little bit. I've got Asan's here, Josh is here, and Henry is here. Now, Asan and Henry are the guys who actually get the job done. They're leading teams who are out executing elastic engineering, and Josh is the product manager for it. And we're going to get into an interesting nuance today around elastic engineering, and that is why Affinity makes a big difference. So let's first bring Josh up on stage here. And Josh, welcome to the program. Your first time on any of the live things we do.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Glad that you are here and in the Rackspace corporate headquarters as well. Somebody went into the office today.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. Hey, Josh. So let's start with we're talking about aspects of elastic engineering, but maybe we should define what elastic engineering from Rackspace is, and from one of the inventors of it. Why don't you help us
sure.
understand that?
And I'm not the inventor of it, but
I'm
yeah,
giving you
it's a
credit for it. Just take it. No,
yeah, yeah.
just
It's
you and
a
our thousands of friends who are watching.
right. It's a do with model that aligns a set of resources to you, cloud experts, that that is really pairs well with transformation for a customer, getting a transformation, getting the customer from the beginning of their cloud journey to cloud to be cloud experts.
Yeah, cloud fluent.
Yes, cloud fluent.
Yeah, because the cloud workloads do take a different type of support. Now, let's if engineering is so great, what is it? I don't want to say replacing, but how is it used as opposed to maybe traditional type of
Sure.
managed services from a provider like a Rackspace or anyone else?
Sure. And coming from customer success is my background. The big
Okay,
thing of elastic engineering and the whole key of this program to Affinity and Beyond is building the customer affinity. You get the same experts, the ones that are working with you on an issue, are the same rackers that you're working with to transform your environment. So you're working with the same folks over and over, and they get to understand your business, your objectives, and really they kind of form a partnership and a relationship with your business, and where some of these folks get invited to before COVID, they got invited to Christmas parties and things like
right.
that, so that very creates a very tight knit relationship.
It's amazing. I love that because it is so different. In traditional managed services, it's very responsive. I hate to say you're throwing a ticket over the wall, but you effectively sort of are. And it's a very talented and skilled engineer is going to pick that up and work on it. But your next ticket would be somebody else. And what's awesome about the fact that this small team that you get to work with is it's that same people, and they're the ones who are helping evolve and grow that environment. Same ones who are helping to create resolutions should something go bump in the night. Yeah. Hey, let's bring up our other friends onto stage. Now, you are a product manager, Josh. So that means you help to define the nuances of what this offering is from Rackspace. And speaking of Rackspace, guys, we have to call out. We have a 3-day racker who's watching today. Obviously, he hasn't got a job yet. Just kidding. Lawrence is here. Be like Lawrence, folks. Come and work with us at Rackspace. If you're interested, go over to rackspace.com jobs. Oh no, Rackspace.jobs. That's what it is. Go to Rackspace.jobs. And if you're interested in coming and hanging out with us, there are so many jobs open. We are hiring like crazy. Join from Future Racker. I like the way you say that, Sean. All right, so we've just brought on a couple more rackers onto the stage, and so we've got Henry here, and we've got Asan, and what guys? You lead teams, right? You lead teams who actually go out and execute this stuff. And so Josh helps make it better. He helps tweak it. He helps evolve the product. You guys actually execute and do the job. So, Asan, maybe I'll start with you. As you're leading teams doing this work, what's that engagement like? What is it? What does a typical engagement kind of look like in that relationship?
Well, yeah, thanks, Jeff. A typical engagement is really like taking the customer in their journey in the cloud, right?
Mm,
Like you said earlier, it's like comparing it to the managed hosting, right? That was a reactive model where your biggest day was like, hey, you solved an outage. Here, we're being proactive with customers, be it with different industries. We're taking them through their journey in the cloud,
yeah,
coaching them how to use the cloud better, and also along the line, building that affinity, that knowing that we understand their business. The Elastic Engineering engineers are well informed of not just what their architecture looks like, but really what they're doing in and out, what their customer looks like, what their application is, so we can guide them in their journey to the cloud so they're not in one place or utilizing something that's not the right service for them.
right. So audience, friends, I hope you're hearing this. I mean, listen to the words that are being used. If I were to give you what we would call at Rackspace a spheres of support document for a managed hosting support model, it would all be about when the alarms go off. We will monitor these things. We will make sure you're backed up. We'll make sure you're patched, which are all good things to do, but they're not words and activities like I'm going to listen to what your goals are. I'm going to guide you. We're going to coach you. We're going to help be proactive in your journey and guide you through that whole process. That is one of the things that is so different about Rackspace Elastic Engineering. And while we're talking, I don't recommend you go there now. You should give us your full attention. But if you just even go over to rackspace.com/elastic engineering, there may be a hyphen in there, but I bet you Megan could put it on the screen. Oh, there is one. Look at that. And you can learn a whole lot more about it. But Henry, let's go over to you. So tell me about we've defined these teams as small, well, and dedicated to individual companies. But what's the makeup of a team?
Yeah, so every engineering team consists of a series of junior engineers, senior engineers, cloud architects, and a lead cloud architect that works with an engagement manager. Engagement managers are the teams that Hassan and I run. But yeah, by and large, the Affinity is built by having regular touch points with the customer. We're meeting with customers on a weekly, if not more frequent basis. We're doing agile sprint planning. We're really talking about roadmaps and their journey like regularly. So we understand what the customer is doing today, where they want to be, and we're forging that path forward for them. That's how we kind of build that affinity with them.
Yeah, guys, listen to the words: guiding, coaching, growing, taking them through the whole process. We have to pause again. Got another new racker, 3-day racker. We're so glad to have Jeff Larson as a racker here. We also have someone we have Alvaro from Guadalajara, Mexico. I've never been to Guadalajara. Been a lot of places in Mexico, but not there. All right, so we keep using the term affinity. We've defined today's episode as to affinity and beyond. And we are calling it and using it in the terms of it's a good thing. But let's define really what it is and why it creates value. Josh, just bounce back over to you.
Sure. Yeah, the big thing about Affinity is the return on investment. You, as a customer, investing in Rackspace and Elastic Engineering, you want a return on your investment in what you're putting in. And the key thing about it is it allows our team to get involved, be involved in the long-term planning of your backlog and your objectives, what you want to get throughout and what you want to get done in the year. And the big thing is just it allows us to be a big part of that strategic planning. And so, yeah, that really helps us do that.
That's awesome. So guys, again, so here's why I love how we built this panel. We got Josh who says, well, this is how, we want to do this thing and it's going to create this value and be awesome. But then I got Hassan and Henry here who will tell us what it's like, on the ground. So Hassan, let's go back over to you. Maybe even think of a customer example where having that affinity, having that one-to-one long-term relationship, guys, we aren't, it's not a shell game here. We're not swapping people out. It's that same team that they're working with. What is it like down at ground level for organizations with Rackspace Elastic Engineering? And it's almost like I get paid to say that name over and over.
So it is, again, back to that relationship that we build with which Henry just touched upon, like the week-to-week relation. We understand their business, their environment, and also what market they're catering to.
Yeah.
So like an example of one of our customers, a retail e-commerce giant. We know that special holidays are big for them. So we make sure we're being proactive in guiding them. Hey, Thanksgiving is coming. You're going to see a lot of traffic. We should put some auto scaling in there. Guiding them how to best use the cloud services that are available, that are industry standards, and helping them on their big day, what is important to them. So they're not left alone and they're competing with the industry and the market. And again, when we know their environment, when we understand their business and their application, it helps us guide them into the right direction instead of, hey, let's just do this and it doesn't work out. So understanding their business and having that relationship with the customer really puts us in a step forward to guide them on how to evolve in the cloud and what cloud services they should be using.
That's really awesome. So Henry, as I think about other things that you need to kind of spin on and be available for, especially with what's going on right now, CISA has put a Shields Up alert out. So everybody's looking at security. I mean, I think, how are you guys engaging, when customers come asking, hey, let's do a little work stream around making sure we're as hardened as we can be.
Yeah, it's a really good example, actually, because I actually had a customer that came with us for exactly that. They wanted to strengthen their security posture, right? We started them off with a SAL specific to that. We helped them design a secure VPC in their just early days AWS environment and started putting their resources in there, right? And then that actually blossomed into more work for us because we built that affinity. We built that trust, right? We showed them how to use tools like Security Hub, how to properly secure your WAFs, and showed them that we were capable of doing so and managing it for them. And with that, we grew into other areas of business together, right? We're helping them migrate applications from on-prem to in the cloud, and we just continue on from there. So having that affinity, building that trust, and then continually having our security experts available to them has really emboldened them to continue to work with us.
That's really awesome because that affinity builds trust, and trust is something that we need. It's not something that we need. Trust is something that organizations really are looking for because the cloud is, I'm going to use a really technical term here, scary. Because there's so much that's unknown about it. There's a lot of FUD that's out there, fear, uncertainty, and doubt around what a move to the cloud might be. And people even still view that move to the cloud like it's a thing that they only have to do once, like when you might have upgraded from Windows, whatever to Windows whatever, or VMware to the latest VMware type thing. And I only have to think about it every couple of years. Well, that move to the cloud is a move into an environment with what I always say, infinite potential. Is it finite? Absolutely, it's finite. There's only so much tech that's there. There's only so many servers that are there. But there's more there than the world right now is asking of it. And it creates this opportunity. So, Henry, I love the example where you call out that we go in to help solve one specific problem. In the case we're talking about security. But as that affinity is built and trust is established, we're able to go in and make an impact. Now, that impact in the organization we see in two ways. Of course, Rackspace, we want to help companies. We are a for-profit company, and so we appreciate that built-in trust and the ability to go in and do more work. But it's all there because we're making a difference in the lives of those organizations. Hassan, maybe another example of how we get in and help solve a problem and how that helps maybe companies grow in what they're doing.
So I think the first step is really understanding the customer's business, right? What market they're catering to. And we try to understand that through initial deep dive sessions, what they're catering, and also trying to coach them along the ways. You used to be reactive in the old days on-prem. Now that you're in the cloud, let's change your methodology. So be proactive. Plan for things in advance if you have a holiday event coming up. So you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night and run to a data center. This went down. So that coaching takes in place, and that can only happen once we build that relationship with the customer, understanding their business, understanding their environment, and then looking at the day-to-day problems that they have or the long-term problems that they have. And again, match them with the industry standards and take them in that journey. Cloud is not that, like you said, you got Windows 2008 today, now you just got to worry about 2016, 4 years later. It's constantly evolving. Cloud is changing. The services are coming new, and you got to stay up within the industry standard. And also, we're not doing cookie cutter solutions. We're really looking at, again, the target audience that the customer is looking at. Then we suggest a solution based on that and build that for them. And I think with that, the trust comes in from the customer, and we take them on this journey to being cloud native.
Well, again, I think it's important to compare and contrast. So any managed service provider or even any IT department, there are clear lines about what they're gonna do, how they're gonna monitor, what they're gonna manage, what they're gonna back up. And by extension, there's clear lines of what they're not going to do. But what you keep hearing from Henry and from Hassan is contributing elements to the individual company's backlog. Custom things, unique things to that organization of how they could get better. We gave some specific examples, Henry and Hassan did, around holiday planning for holiday stuff, dealing with security, other specific challenges. But then there are the individual things that we already mentioned. The cloud is continuing to evolve underneath their feet. You go to sleep, you wake up in the morning, there's new stuff that exists inside of the cloud. And it's the experts on Hassan and Henry's team who are paying attention to all of that stuff. They're talking to one another. These different teams are talking to one another. Like Dominic might be talking to us. Dominic is in the watching here today from over in London. He's an engagement manager for an Elastic Engineering pod over there. And and they'll come back and my customer, they built a specific thing, but now there's an as a service, so they come back and have as soon as the sun shines, because these teams are working in the same time zones. That's how Josh designed it, and decide to add to the backlog and start to work and make their environment slicker. So Josh, let's go back to you for a second. How are you seeing Elastic Engineering evolving with even some of the inputs that you might be getting from teams that like what Henry and Asan lead?
Sure. And I mean, I think the important thing we're seeing is, and you'll see this in the rest of Rackspace, the offers that we have, is we're seeing customers want the Elastic Engineering model in other pillars. So security, data, applications, VMware, private cloud. So we're expanding in those areas, and we're seeing customers want this model in the rest of the portfolio or the rest of the platforms that they're using.
Excellent. That's excellent. So what are we hearing back from customers? What's the experience like? I think either let's go to Henry. Henry hasn't talked in a minute. You're leading these teams. What happens? Let me ask the question this way: what happens when a customer's maybe not so happy? How do we get in and help make sure that gets solved for?
Well, of course, as with any situation like that, we want to talk to the customer, right? So constant communication is important. I mentioned we have regular touch points, but we, of course, will reach up even further if a customer is unhappy and really figure out what's going on and develop a plan behind how do we get them back to a happier place, right?
Right.
We're elastic for a reason. We want to be agile. We want to be flexible to the customer's needs. So we do have that opportunity afforded to us to do so.
That's awesome. And, I'm realizing we haven't really completely defined what the elastic in the name Rackspace Elastic Engineering even means. So, Asan, maybe for why don't you tell us how ways that elasticity manifests itself?
Yeah, Elastic is in terms of a lot of things, not just on how we support. We can literally, from our product, what Josh designed is we can go up in tiers, down in tiers, depending on the level of support the customers or the level of work the customer is looking for. And to add on that, we're elastic based on priorities. Like customers may have a priority today, let's work on this. And 2 days later, the business decision changes and there's something else that they want to focus on as a company. And we're there to shift focus and guide them in that direction. And we're elastic, flexible in a lot of ways, not just based on the support tier level that they can get, but also what our team can get with the different level of engineers that we have in the group, be it from a cloud architect all the way to a junior cloud engineer. So that elasticity gives customer more options to be flexible in what they're achieving and what they're working towards and achieve what they're, as a business, what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah. And another thing we say a lot about Rackspace Elastic Engineering is that it's outcomes driven, as opposed to a tight bit of rules about what we will and won't do. There are targets. It's not just, hey, what do we want to do today? When we first engage with customers, it is to serve a specific purpose. So as we think about these outcomes, what are some examples that you could give about what some companies have come and said, here's what we really want to be able to do. Can you help us get there? Henry, maybe you can give an example or two and then back to Asan.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, like security posture improvement is one prime example, or migration from one cloud to another, or migration from on-premises to AWS or another cloud. Those are really common examples. Just helping transform their code pipelines, being more cloud native in their development and deployment processes. Like these are really common scenarios for us, and we deliver them like quite often.
That's awesome. Asan.
Yeah, we're really tied with, again, what the business pain points are, right? Most of the time it's, hey, these are processes that we're currently doing manual. So bringing automation around that. How can we be more highly available? Some customers need to be highly available. So guiding, some people need a DR that's in a completely different region, working on with them what the DR needs are. Does it need to be within seconds that the DR needs to spin up? How frequent the backup needs to be in the DR? So these are like examples, but most are process related, trying to automate things. So the less human intervention in cloud, and we can automate so the customers can sleep at night peacefully. Their business is up and working, and they don't need to worry. And a lot of automations, alerts can take care of itself instead of somebody manually checking in alerts and seeing if a server went down or a patch needs to be updated.
Yeah, so it's outcome driven, it's flexible, and it is custom. These engagements are custom. Even though we do a lot of the same stuff every time, customers have their own requirements. Asan, I love how you just called out the fact that at varying implementations of how they're backing up their environment. In a traditional managed hosting, you might have t-shirt sizing as how you could do that, but you have to fit inside of the way we do it for the other 120,000 customers we might have.
Something to add there, if you don't mind, to Asan and
Please.
Henry, is if for any of the customers that have used a managed service model, the traditional reactive model, you'll notice it's very difficult to transform on that model. That's the value that Elastic Engineering brings.
That is awesome. All right, so Josh, while you've got the stage, help maybe getting started with Elastic. Getting started in anything cloud is the biggest piece of friction, biggest bit of an inertia to get somebody started. How does a company get started with Rackspace Elastic Engineering? What's the experience like?
Sure, we have a great team of sellers and solution engineers and architects. They'll understand your requirements, what you're looking to do, where you're at in your journey. Maybe it's even starting with a ProServe assessment to see where you are. Then start with the Elastic Engineering or a ProServe engagement, depending on your timelines. And then they know kind of where you fit in your needs are at the moment, and then fit in where Elastic Engineering can come into play.
Right, and then that they define that first deliverable, that first scope document, how long it's going to take to get there, and again, we're balancing that on how much time the customer can dedicate to that, and how many people they can dedicate to that work, because it is a do with approach. Hey, we would be remiss if we didn't call out some more folks. We have Zalal from Turkey. We've only ever had a few folks from Turkey, so Zalal, I'm so glad that you are here. We have Joseph from Upland, California. Aaron from good old San Antonio, Texas, and Daniela from down in Guadalajara, Mexico. So glad that you guys have chosen to spend your middle of the day or end of the day with us. All right, so we're coming down to the end of it here. It all goes back to Affinity. It is one of the defining differences of an Elastic Engineering engagement as opposed to traditional types of support. And I want to encourage you folks, if you are, maybe you're on the IT team inside of your organization, maybe you're a decision maker of thinking about how your company is moving to the cloud, or maybe you're a little frustrated with the pace of innovation you've had after having moved to the cloud. This is what Rackspace Elastic Engineering helps to solve for. This is where Rackspace and that affinity, that team. Remember, I said the phrase "do with approach." It's Henry's team. It's Asan's team. It's where did he go? There he is, Dominic. Dominic's team over in London. Guys, we have these teams that span the globe from Singapore all the way back to Sacramento. See, alliteration is fun. And it's all about that affinity. It's about bringing the same team to your team every single day, solving your own business problems. So we're going to go around the horn one more time here. And Josh, start thinking about the next feature that's going to come into our capability, because I want you to give the audience a little preview. But Henry, we'll start with you. What is it you want to leave the audience with so impactful about that affinity?
I think the takeaway here, at least from my point of view, is the same team of engineers that's supporting your engagement, that's supporting your infrastructure. That's the team that's helping you advance as well. They're the ones that know your environment best, and they're making suggestions for you. So there you have it.
Awesome. Asan, over to you.
Yeah, to that point, like what Henry would said, like that relationship is there. We build that to trust, and again, look at what the customer needs for what their customer needs, and let us guide you into the cloud journey. I know it looks scary from the outside, but we're there as cloud experts, and we can guide you in the journey. It's a never-ending journey. It's not like, hey, you got this today and we're done. So let us be the cloud experts and take you on this journey in the cloud, and help you reach your business needs and what you're targeting for your customers.
That's right. Okay, Josh, let's give them a preview. What's something that's coming to Elastic Engineering?
I kind of mentioned on this before, expanding Elastic Engineering to the other pillars. A lot of them are already launched. You can find those on Rackspace website or talk with your seller. But making that experience seamless. So having one engagement manager that could be your go-between for all these different pillars that you're working with. So that's something. Just making quality of life improvements, making your ability to use our products and services across the portfolio easier for you to manage.
I love that. That's great stuff. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for spending your midday or end of day with us here today. We've had Evan from Vancouver, so fun. Rachel from Atlanta, Ryan over in LA, an engagement manager, another racker. This is fantastic. Everyone, thanks so much for being a part of this. And if you want to learn more about Rackspace Elastic Engineering, well, you know where to go. Rackspace.com/elastic-engineering. In fact, go there now. Let's see if we can take the site down. Guess what? You can't. It's running on Amazon. And an Elastic Engineering team manages it. So hey, tomorrow we are back for a Cloud Talk Live at 8:30 Central Time. As you know, this is Women in Tech Month for us on Cloud Talk, and I have the great pleasure of bringing you Karen O'Reilly Smith, who is the Rackspace Chief Information Security Officer. So bring your security questions to her. Everyone, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I'm very honored to have had a chance to visit with you, and Asan and Henry and Josh. You guys did great. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Jeff.
All
Thanks
right.
for having us.
See you, everybody.